This painting tonight is Jack at sunset or sunrise, whatever you'd like. A really cool thing about this painting, I'll show you a little trick at the end. If you want to put the silhouette of a little dog at the end, or maybe people sitting or something else, you can absolutely do that. You can make it your own. You can add things to it. You don't have to have everything on this. In fact, I always encourage my painters to go rogue and do their own thing. So what are we gonna need for tonight? Obviously a canvas, something to paint on. You are gonna need something to paint with. I typically use 3 different brushes, and this is a 16 by 20 canvas, so my brushes are a bit big. I've got about a 1-inch flat, it's a number 10 flat is what they call it, but it's about 1 inch. It's a flat brush at the top. I've got a number 6 round, and it's a little older, so it's a little kind of fluffy on me. I like the fluffiness for my leaves. And then I got a number 1 round. It's more of a detail brush. So you're gonna wanna have sort of a big, a medium, and a little brush to work with. You're gonna want to have some water to wash your brushes off with. That's what I have here, a cup of water. You're gonna want a napkin to dry your brushes off with also. And then here's our colors that we're gonna need for tonight. If you don't happen to have like brown, for example, we can mix it with the primary colors. So black and white, blue, yellow, red, and brown, okay? So it's pretty simple and it's pretty easy to get going with these simple colors. Again, if you don't have brown, we can mix it. Just ask me in the chat bar, remind me if I forget to tell you, and I'm happy to show you how to mix that color. All right. If you have orange and you want to use orange paint, you can, but you don't have to, okay? Where's my paint? There we go. I also have my paint on a palette. So if you have a old, something slick that paint won't adhere to. So a paper plate, that's more of that plasticky kind of paper plates will work well. A piece of glass, this is a pad of paper that's actually designed to be a palette. Okay, so when we paint, I'm going to have you guys do it in steps. So the background, we're going to start with the blue sky and work our way down and into the water. So that's step 1, okay? Then after that dries, we're gonna have a little bit of a break. When that dries, then we'll come back and do our mountains, our land mass back there, our dock, and then our trees and leaves are absolutely last. So I'm gonna give you guys a couple of minutes to get your paints out, get your colors out. I see some people are still doing that right now, so I don't wanna go too fast on you. And again, if I am going too fast, let me know and I'll slow down. Go grab a drink, grab one of your favorite songs, turn it on, grab a snack. If you're a type A personality, this business was started with you in mind, the paint and sip aspect. The sip to help you relax a little bit. I know because I am also a type A, so I pick on myself all the time.
I'm an A as well.
Yeah, so that's why the sipping is a little, I'm not encouraging it, but it does help a little bit. Don't worry, you're not gonna need Xanax. Don't worry about that, okay? Just, yep, good. All good, all good. All right, so let's see how some of you guys are still pouring paint, I think. So, you can see some people that are still getting ready. Fabulous. So. All right. So what we're going to do, we're going to start pretty much from the biggest brush down to the smallest brush. That's how we're going to go throughout the evening. The biggest down to the smallest, okay? So we're going to start with our sky, and we're going to add a little bit of blue just to the top edge of our canvas, just a little bit. And then we're going to add a band of white, because what's going to happen if we do yellow right into the blue, yellow and blue make green. We don't want to do that. So we're going to do blue, blend it into white, and then once that's dry, we'll go get into the other colors. So go ahead and take your Big Daddy brush. I call the big one the Big Daddy. And you're going to grab some blue paint, load it up pretty good. Okay, pretty good size amount of paint. And you're just going to go across the top of your canvas, maybe an inch, maybe a little bit, 2 inches max, you know, coming down just a little, not a lot. You don't need a lot of blue paint, okay? Now, there's no wrong way to paint. You can go up and down, crisscross, zigzag. I just do lots of little X's. That's how I kind of paint. It's just something I've picked up along the way. And so I just want you to get a little bit of blue right at the top here. And if you notice what I'm doing here, I'm painting my edges. So anytime you get to the end of the canvas, I want you to paint right all the way around it. It gives it a nice finished look so you can hang it on your wall and it looks complete. Okay?
Is it okay if I do something else?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I encourage people to do something else. Go for it.
Okay.
Okay. While this is wet, that's why we want to move a little, not major fast, but we don't want to go real slow because we don't want it to dry. While this is wet, I'm going to I'm going to wipe off my extra blue paint on my napkin. I don't want lots of blue paint right now. I want almost none. And I'm going to grab white paint. And I'm going to put a coat of white right at the bottom, a line of white right across the bottom of the blue. And while they're wet, I'm going to kind of smush and smear the middle. I'm going to blend it. So it's going to lighten up my blue a little bit, but I'm not going to make my blue come lower. Okay, so basically I'm pushing white up and into the blue is what I'm doing. So already you should have slightly darker blue fading to a slightly lighter blue in your sky, just in that little area. Now with this painting, it's a little different than some others. I'm going to have you do 2 different kinds of brush strokes. Whatever brush stroke is natural for you up in the sky, stay consistent no matter what color we're doing, keep that brush stroke in the sky. However, when we get down to the water, I want to point this out to you. I want you guys to always do minus signs. When we're down here, which is going to be our next step here, I'm going to jump back and forth on us. But when we hit the water, no matter what color we're doing little minus signs, left, right, left, right. Okay, it's going to add to the illusion that it's water. All right, so go ahead and wash your brush. Anytime you wash your brush, you want to put it in the can or in the cup and paint the bottom of the cup. You don't want to just swish it. You really have to push the acrylic paint out of the bristles. Watercolors you can just swish, but acrylic you really kind of have to push it out. And then dry it off really good. Acrylic paints, while they like water, if you have too much water, it'll turn drippy, which is a cool effect. If you like that effect, go for it, but that's not what this is. Okay, I'm going to do 1 more coat of white. So wash your brush, get all the rest of the blue off of it, dry it off, go grab some white, and we're going to do 1 more band of white right at the bottom here. So we're going to have a really cool ombre faded effect from blue to white. Okay. Now, if you want a really, really smooth sky, you can do nice long brush strokes. You want it more choppy like this, you do shorter brush strokes. Either will work. Hope you guys are all enjoying some good music. If we were all in person, I'd have it going on in the background. Oh, Bree, I like your background. It looks just like the painting.
Thanks. It's actually where I'm from. It's from Martha's Vineyard.
Ah, I'm jealous.
Thanks.
Tiffany, you're painting by Braille? That's funny. I mean, it's not really, but it's comical. How's that? Can't wait to see your painting. All right. All right, so what we're gonna do while this is drying, again, because if we go into it right now with yellow and blue make green, we don't want green in our sky. We wanna give this a chance to dry. So we're gonna come down here, still with blue, and we're gonna paint our blue water. So I didn't even wash my brush again. I'm just gonna go straight into the darker blue. And I'm gonna do a horizon line. So it's about, for my type A personalities, it's about 1, 2, it's about a third of the way down. I want you to draw approximately a fairly horizontal line. Doesn't have to be straight. We're gonna hide it with the ground when we get there, okay? The mound of land over there, okay? So just sort of mark off where you want our water to be. So this is all gonna be sky, this is all gonna be water. And again, it's about a third, okay? So now, if you remember, anytime we're painting water, our brush strokes always have to be left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, okay? So I'm gonna paint in some blue, and I'm gonna mix it up between blue and white, and I'm gonna make it really messy, really. So I have a lot of paint here, but I don't have a lot of paint on some of them. I'm like running out of paint, see that? I'm gonna do this over and over and over and over again between blue and white. So now I'm putting white streaks in here. And I'm gonna go back and forth between blue and white, blue and white. And I'm not gonna go across the entire water. I wanna leave this area right here on an angle. This whole area right here, I wanna leave that white for now. So right around here, I'm gonna you can use your hand if you want to sort of make sure you don't go any further than your hand. Okay, sort of mark it off, right? So, and it doesn't have to be a perfectly straight edge either. If you notice here, I have some blue that goes in a little bit. In fact, we don't want it to be perfect. There are no straight lines in nature. All right, so just fill this all in, back and forth with blue and white. And that's all I'm doing is loading my brush, blue and white, blue and white. And that way, this way here, this whole area right here is gonna be the reflection of the sun on the water, once we get there. And then we're gonna come all the way down. But the more choppy it is, the shorter the brush stroke, the more it'll look like water, believe it or not. And you can can glob on the paint if you want to. You don't have to blend it. The fact if it's not blended, it kind of looks more like this. So kind of streaky. We want it streaky, very, very uneven and very, very streaky, but always in the horizontal way. That makes sense. Just so you guys know, if I end up losing power, I'm in the same zone. Like I said, I'm only 10 minutes from the school. If I end up losing power, I'm gonna finish this painting with you, finish recording it. Obviously it won't be with you, sorry. I'll finish it and I'll give you guys the recording. So don't worry about it. We might not be able to finish it together because of the weather, but you will be able to finish it, I promise. Just wanted to let you guys know that. So it's important on these edges, the edge of our blue here and the edge of our blue here, that we don't make it perfectly, like I don't want to see a perfectly straight line like this, okay? That doesn't look right, okay? We don't want a perfectly straight line. We'd rather have it feathered and very, very irregular, okay? So definitely mess that up. There we go. Now I know I'm gonna have the dock here and I'm gonna have the yellow and orange up here, so I'm not even gonna worry about painting that right now. I am gonna get some more blue streaks going on in here. Blue and white streaks. Sorry, my puppy is playing with one of her toys, so if she squeaks it, that's what that is. So just like we got to the edges, we went around the edges with the sky, you're gonna do the same thing with your water. Take your streaks right around the edge. So the painting just continues right around the side. It's darker over here. It's getting too light on me. Cool thing about this painting, when we're done, you can always, once it's dry, you can always come back and add more layers to it. Like if you don't like something, or if it's too medium blue, you want to add darker streaks, or you want to add more white, lighter streaks. You absolutely can do that. At some point, you're going to want to lift it up and get to the bottom edge as well, but we can do that later once everything is dry. How's it looking? It's fairly the same color blue, so I'm going to wash my brush. If you look at it closer, it's a little more diverse in the lights and darks. And I'm gonna come back in now. I'm gonna wash my brush. And I'm gonna add more whites a little bit. More highlights on my water a little bit. And that's furniture moving downstairs. Sorry. Didn't realize it was going to be so loud.
No worries. All those life sounds, right?
Right, exactly. I'm home, can you tell? All right. A little better, a little more diverse. There you go. So I also want you guys, I don't know if you realize this, but I keep looking at my canvas on the screen. It gives me a new perspective on what I'm doing because I'm sitting 6 inches from it, not even, I'm 3 inches from it at times. And it looks totally different when you're really, really close to a painting versus stepping back. So I'm gonna have you guys also get in the habit of stepping back from your painting and looking at it from a new perspective. Okay, so I don't know if you've ever seen a professional artist when they're working, but they'll stand up on it and then they kind of take a step back and then they work on it some more, they take a step back. What we're doing is getting a new perspective. So you guys are never gonna be this close to your painting ever again. It's gonna be hopefully hanging on a wall, not in a trash can, right? Okay, so if it's gonna be on a wall, it's gonna be across the room or down the hallway. And so that's how you have to see it, is where it's gonna be hung, which is way out there. So about 20 feet or so. Two things you can do. You can either step away from your canvas or you can take a picture with your smartphone and it'll shrink it down so you'll see it in a totally different, brand new way. And it'll look, you'll see things that you didn't see sitting 6 inches from it or 12 inches from it. So that's why I kind of keep assessing mine to see where I needed to add other things. And when you're done with that, go ahead and wash your daddy brush. I need to get another napkin. How are we doing with the backgrounds? The blues. It's like some of you are still painting. Also, guys, feel free if you want me to take a look at your painting at any point in time. Go ahead and unmute yourself, yell at me. You can hold it up and I can talk to you about it if you want me to help you along. Or at the very, very end, if you don't want everyone seeing it and you want to just keep it private, but you still want to ask me a question, you still can. You can email me. Alira will give you a way to contact me a little later, and I'm more than happy to give you some feedback on it if you would like.
I think my issue is always that I'll keep painting it until you tell me the next the next thing. I'm like, do I need to keep going? I don't know, you know.
That is the perpetual problem of all of us artists. You never know when to stop, and that's actually the toughest thing, is to know when to stop. There she goes, sorry. But yeah, you're not the only one to have that issue. We all do, all of us. So it's I don't remember which artist said it. It might have been Picasso, that it's something that's never done. You're never ever done. You have to abandon it. Would you stop? Crazy dog. Come on. Give her a carrot.
It's so cute. She likes carrots, or he. I don't know if it's a she or he. Yes.
It's a girl. It's a little girl. Yeah, she likes carrots. It's one of her treats. Keeps her quiet for about a minute. Then she comes back for more. But okay, so we're now going to go ahead and wash your daddy brush, because you can keep working on this until the cows come home. Trust me, it's one of those things that it's mesmerizing. It's Zen-like to kind of just keep going. And you can, that's fine. But to get back into the sky, I'm gonna grab a very clean and dry daddy brush, which is that bigger brush. So go ahead and wash that really well. Get all the blue out of it, dry it off. And if at any point you guys would rather use a different brush than what I'm using, go for it. You don't need permission. It's always so funny when I'm in classes. It's not school, so you don't really even have to listen to me. You can do what you want to do and what you're comfortable with. All right, so I need a little bit more white paint. Hang on. We are going to now do our yellow. That's a very pale yellow, and bring it down. And at the end, once we get to the horizon here, just add a little bit of red, and I mean a little bit. So but first we're gonna start with a pale yellow, okay? So you take your yellow, mix it with white. My type A's start with a 50-50. For those that don't know, a type A personality, if you have to ask what a type A is, first off, you're not one, because we all know who we are. We are the kinds that like everything right and wrong, yes and no, black and white. And we have to know how much, exactly the linear, like, give me, that's why I keep measuring for you guys, you know, a third of the way down, or 50% yellow, 50% white, that sort of a thing. Our brains just work like that. We need to have it needs to be quantified. So art is non-quantifiable, but I try to make it that to make it a little easier on you guys and myself too. So yellow with a little bit of white in there, and we're going to very lightly draw a line of yellow, very little bit, right at the bottom of the white, okay? We don't need a lot of yellow and a lot of this pale yellow. We do need a little bit, okay? And while it's wet, first of all, I'm going to dry my brush off, because I'm going to now feather this up and into the white area up top, okay? So dry your brush off, and you're just going to kind of smudge and smear that upper yellow paint to blend it in very carefully, very, very, very little, okay? You will see through it a little bit. And that's how you get it to sort of fade from your blue, which went down to white. My white was right about here. And then you add your pale yellow. And then you, like I said, you blend it with a dry brush. You just kind of smudge and smear that upper edge of paint. The lower edge, you add brighter yellow. We'll add the sun later, okay? So while this is wet, we're now going to blend in the bottom part of it with yellow. You feather the yellow right into that pale yellow. And the rest of the sky here, we're going to do yellow, that brighter yellow, okay? You feather it right up and in. Just don't go up into the blue. Just feather this bright yellow into the light yellow. Don't forget to do your edges. Now this is where you guys get to decide, do you want to leave your sky like this, or do you want to add a little bit of orange into it? If you wanted it a little more orange like this, you have to do it while the yellow is wet. So I'm sorry, I'm kind of going a little quickly. It's because we want to keep this paint wet. If it dries, it's a little harder to mix, okay? So while you have yellow on your brush, I'm going to show you how little red you need. If you don't have orange, you really need, I have almost no red over here and have a smidge there. So I like to say you need 98% yellow and 2% red. That's how little red you need. You're going to start at the bottom and only try to keep it really close to the bottom. And then you're going to feather it up just a little into your yellow sky, okay? Maybe just a smidge more here. But if you're not careful, the red will take over really, really quickly. It's better to do less red to begin with and add a little bit more as you go than to have start with too much red. We'll come back in and do the sun in a little bit, okay? And that's how you get from blue to yellow to orange, okay? I'm looking at mine, this needs to be blended a little bit better. Okay. And the trick is a little bit of red, and I mean little. Well, hopefully, Tiffany, you'll have some power soon. And hopefully your battery is good on your phone. Apparently I bought the cheap napkins that are going through them like crazy right now because they're not holding a lot of water. All right. So just like we did blue minus signs in the water, we're now going to do the yellow and orange minus signs in the water. Same thing. You're going to start with exactly the same way we did here. We have a little bit of light yellow, then you do bright yellow, then you do just a little bit of that red to make it sort of an orange, okay? So wash your brush really, really good. I guess you didn't have to, we were already on the orange. And I'm going to go back into that pale yellow color that I started with. And that's what I'm going to put at my edges. Now, I'm noticing I have a couple of little wet spots on my canvas. You can do two things. Wait for it to dry, or three things. Wait for it to dry, avoid the wet spot, or you can use a hair dryer and dry the blue before you touch it with the yellow, okay? Totally up to you. Once we get this done, we're gonna take a break and let it all dry completely before we can go ahead and do anything else. So right now, I'm just gonna add my minus signs of yellow. This is the pale yellow. And it is gonna overlap the blue a little bit, and it's gonna kind of come in and have a little bit of reflection of yellow over here. You want it to be random. You want it to be organic. You don't want it to be a major straight line delineation between the blue and the yellow. You want it to sort of overlap a little bit, okay? So once you get your pale yellow going, I picked up a little blue there by accident, so I'm going to wash my brush off. And I'm going to grab the bright yellow. So we did the pale yellow, then the brighter yellow. Same thing here. So now I'm going to go in my brighter yellow. Still minus signs. Very important to do your minus signs. And you're going to overlap a little bit of the blue, a little bit of that pale yellow. You're just layering on colors, all with those minus signs. We're also, when we do the sun, we're gonna come back in and brighten this up with a little bit more white. So don't worry about that either, okay? If, by chance, you are seeing, like I did yellow on top of my blue, and it kind of looks kind of muddy and greenish right here, this sort of section, I'm going to grab some white and feather in some of the white paint. White, think of it like whiteout, so you can sort of block out any of those funky transitions if you want to. But again, still do it with the little minus signs. And just, all you're doing is kind of camouflaging that transition from blue to yellow. That's all we're really kind of doing, all with minus signs, okay? We can also, down here, I know for a fact I'm going to be covering it with the dock. So I know I don't have to worry about this area as much. Up here, I can work on this and I can feather this in more. Even when we're dry, I can take blue and put more blue minus signs in there. Okay, so we can always just kind of go back and forth with color. Last step here is to add just a little bit of the orange, right? So we did the pale yellow, brighter yellow, and a little bit of that red. So to make the orange color, same thing in the water. I'm gonna go back and grab some of that yellow. Wee little bit of red, and I mean really little bit of red. Get some of those orange streaks going on in there. Again, you don't have to do a lot of orange. We're not going to cover up the whole thing. But again, it is minus signs, okay? Always minus signs. Or if it's a little smiley, sort of a little smile, it makes it look like the water is a little more choppy. You can do that. If you have bright, 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 bright red in your sky, absolutely put bright, bright, bright red in your water too. The idea is to be able to see all the colors. So I'm putting a little bit of orange sort of on top of the blue, just a little, again, just to interrupt it so it's not so abrupt between the yellow and the blue. So that's how I did some orange on top of the yellow and on top of the blue. So I'm just getting to my, since I lifted it up, I'm just painting my bottom as well. Oh, I didn't even do this side. That's funny. That, my friends, is the background. Our step one.
Yay!
Yay, I know, right?
I'm starting to see like some really pretty colors coming out on people's paintings.
Yeah, I see it too. So we're gonna take about 10 minutes or so. If you guys need a little longer, just let me know, but I think 10 minutes should do it. Let this dry. This has to dry before we can draw the dock. So during the break, you know, you can refresh your water for your paints. You can wash out your paintbrush if you want. That's what I'm gonna go do. I'm gonna go get my muddy water out of here and get some fresh water. You can also grab a piece of chalk or a pencil and a straight edge. If you happen to have a postcard, I thought I had one here, like a 4x6 postcard, it works perfectly with a 16x20 canvas as far as proportions go. But at the very least, you can grab a ruler and something to draw with. I'm going to draw with a piece of chalk because chalk is easy to wash off, just like it would be on a chalkboard. And then a straight edge of some sort. Get like a note card, or you can even do a 3x5 index card, postcard, you know, anything like that. It also depends on the size of your canvas too. If you have a smaller canvas, you know, if you have an 8x10 canvas, a 2x3 business card might work perfectly. But I'll show you a trick on how to make the dock look in proportion, in perspective. Got a few tricks up my sleeve. So go ahead, take your time. I'm gonna go wash some water. Get some more, wash some water. It's gonna be wash some brushes, get some new water. And I'll be back in a couple of moments.
Awesome, thanks, Erin.
Yeah.
It does seem that some people are getting kicked out because of the weather or losing internet connection. So if that happens to anybody, feel free to rejoin as soon as you have connection again, and I'll just pull you back into our space. So no stress if that happens.
That happened to me, and I'm on the coast.
Oh goodness, is it windy there?
Super windy, and then I rejoined. So
I'm so glad you were able to rejoin. That's good.
How are we doing? Looks like people are doing the edges, which is good. Good. All right. So like I said, if you want to do it a little faster, you can always hit it with a hair dryer, which is what I'm going to do. Mine still seems to be a little wet, probably because of the rain. I'm guessing it's a little more humid. So I'm going to mute this out. I'm going to dry mine with a hair dryer. 100 degrees in Phoenix. Oh boy. So yeah, bring it outside. Let the sun hit it for a minute or two. You should be good. Yeah, we just need it dry so we can draw on the canvas without like smudging anything. It's like a couple more people are still drying with the hairdryer. All right. How are we looking? This is where I'm at school and I tell my kids, okay, thumbs up, how we doing? I teach middle school art online right now. It's a little crazy. Good job, all right, good, yay. I saw that, Larry, we're good. All right, yay, Brianna, thank you, thank you. Okay, so, all right, we're gonna do our sun now, okay? And I like to do this with the mommy brush. Okay, so like a medium, and more of a rounded brush at the top, not a flat brush, okay? The rounded brush, you're able to put it down in the middle and kind of spin it around, and the middle stays in place while the rest of the bristles go around in a circle, okay? So that's kind of our trick to do a circle, okay? So get a little bit of white paint on your rounded mommy brush. It's not the tiny little detail brush, it's not the flat brush, it's a rounded one like this. You're gonna put it up, right? Kind of figure out where your reflection is gonna be, so it's gonna be over here. And if you notice, the middle of my bristles always stay in the middle of the circle, okay? And I'm only as wide as my brush, if you notice that. If you want to sit and totally spin your brush around, you can, instead of having to paint a perfect circle, okay? This is sort of a trick to get a really good looking circle, okay? Now, once you get your sun, what I like to do, I like to make it look hazy. So I'll wipe the white paint off, and I'll do what I call a dry brush technique, which is what it sounds, dry brush. Your brush has no more paint on it. So I'll go around the circle and blend in or kind of smudge out, whatever way you look at it, the paint on the edges. So it'll now, I can get bigger and bigger and bigger. And so what I'm doing is I'm kind of smudging the edge of my sun so it looks sort of, again, it has that haze around it, okay? So when you look directly at the sun, you don't often, when it's like this, you don't often see the absolute perfect edge, perfect circle, right? It kind of blends out. So since I did that, I now need to add a second coat of white because I took some paint off of it here. I don't know if you can see here. I'm just gonna add a second layer of white paint to it, the same way that I just did. So grab some more paint. I'm not going to go to the edge though. I'm just going to keep it sort of in the middle. That's how you do your sun. Okay, and it's a hazy sort of a sun. We'll put the mountain up to it here in a minute. If you notice, it's up to the mountain here. That's our next step, is to do our mountain. After we finish our sun reflection. Now, in the water, we're going to do, again, minus signs, but we're going to do it. We're going to do sort of a glob of them here that almost looks like a circle. But it's not. It's their minus signs. A little bit up here, a little wider. And then it's going to get a little more narrow. And that's going to be the reflection of our sun in the water. It's not a circle. It's a bunch of minus signs. It's like an implied circle. How's that? Okay. So an implied circle below your sun. And if you want to add some little white minus signs across your water, maybe it's hitting a couple of little waves, you can do that. My brush is too fat for that. I'm going to go to a baby brush for mine. There we go, a little better. My rounded brush I used for the sun was too fat for my little minus signs. It was giving me too much paint, and I didn't want that for my white little reflections that I'm going to add in here. Not a lot, just a little bit sort of around the sun, just to highlight it. Again, always minus signs when you're in the water. Okay? So I added some white in there. So if by chance you have another medium-sized brush, I was just realizing how big that other one was, so I went and grabbed another one. So I'm gonna do this next part with this brush right here. This is a new mommy brush, a new number 6, and this is an old one. See how frizzy that is? So believe it or not, these are the same brushes. One's new, one's old. So I'm gonna use the newer one to do this land mass back here. Now, a couple things to keep in mind. Careful how high up in the sky you go with your land. The higher you go, the less red and orange you'll see. This is the one thing that I have a lot of people say, oh, I wish I thought about that. My beautiful orange is now gone. So think about it ahead of time. How high up and into the sky do you want your little mountain range? Okay. This here is done with brown and black. So I mixed sort of 50-50, brown and black together. If you don't have brown, you mix all 3 colors together, okay? And then you can darken it down by adding just a little bit of black. So blue, yellow, red mixed together will give you a brown, and you can add a little bit of black to that to darken it down. All right, so I'm gonna get a nice dark brown color on my brush. I'm going to start on the left because I'm right-handed, so I like to pull from left to right. And I'm going to roll my paintbrush up and down in my fingers. I don't know if you can see me doing this. I'll see if I can get a little closer. Here we go. I'm going to pull it and roll it at the same time and sort of bounce my hand around to make sure that I get a very uneven line.
I finished part 1.
There you go. Excellent.
My really close friend who's helped me during quarantine, and she recently helped me with a breakup.
Well, it looks beautiful. I love it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And she loved this for like all of her favorite places. This is all the places she's traveled to.
Oh, that's a great gift. Very thoughtful.
Thank you.
All right, so again, just keep kind of dragging it across, being mindful of how much sky you're going to show above it or below it. You don't want to see whatever's below it, you're not going to see. Okay, let's leave it at that. But like near your sun, do you want to have it dip down a little? Do you want it up higher on the edges? I like to have it a little higher on the edges to sort of frame the picture and has your eye come down sort of to the focal point. Okay, so that's sort of how I like to do mine. Once you have your mountain range, don't forget to go around your edges. You're going to color in all the way down to the water. And there's no right way to do this. You just kind of paint it in. And then we're going to do, I'll show you how to do the reflection or the shadow. No, it's a reflection on the water. We'll get to that in a minute. And if you want to straighten up your edge down here, like my line, I'm going to straighten it up a little bit because it was bothering me. Going straight. All right. Looks like you guys are just about done. I'm watching your hands go across your canvases. I'm kind of watching, scrolling through you guys to see how you're doing. All right, so the shadow or reflection in our water is done with a dry brush technique. Now, I kind of talked about it before, but if you look here very closely, you can still see the blue water through the black of the shadow, okay? Same thing here. So it's very, very, very little bit, just a haze of black, okay? Now, how do you get that? So you're gonna take that same mommy brush, the medium rounded brush. I'm going to dry it off completely, okay? So I took all the black paint out of it, dried it off really, really good. And now I'm gonna load my brush with paint, ever so little, okay? So you watch here, I'm gonna put it in the black paint just a little bit, okay? Now I'm gonna unload my brush. So I'm gonna literally scribble and scrub the paint off. And if you notice, I had a lot of paint at the beginning. Now I don't have a lot. This is how I want my brush, with very little paint, to be able to come up here and scrub. And you're gonna hear it. You're gonna hear it scrubbing. And you're gonna have to load your brush a lot. Load and then unload. Come up here and put another coat down. There we go, a little better. Okay? Now, reflections. If this is, say, 2 finger widths high, my reflection is gonna be 2 finger widths into the water. Here, it's only gonna be about 1. Okay, so that's kind of to gauge proportions. Right, very, very dry brush. And you might even want to start, if you think you have too much paint or you're not sure, start up and on the mountain, scrubbing, and then slowly bring it down and into the water. All right, so you will see the blue coming through, or the water coming through a little bit. And like I said, you're gonna have to load and then unload your brush many, many times. All right. It's better to have too little to begin with than too much and have to scrub it off and wash it off. You can probably hear my brush being scrubbed too. Again, so this is going to go down to about there. I'm going to do sort of a mirror image. And we also want to make sure that right at the very, very edge, right where the water hits the mountain, we want to make sure that's the darkest part of our shadow, okay? You're going to interrupt that line. You don't want to see real bright blue up near right where it's touching the little mountain, the land, hill, whatever it is. All right. We want it to sort of interrupt that. You don't really want to see the absolute bottom of the hill, right where the water starts. We want to interrupt it, camouflage it. Okay, so that's what it looks like before, right? I didn't do the shadow yet. And that's what it looks like with the shadow. And you can wash your brush. And that's how you can kind of hide your imperfect straight line, horizontal line of where the water was with underneath all of this black. Oh no, is that thunder again? Nope, okay, good, it's not. I thought it was. And then when you're done with that, you can wash your brushes. Now we got to get into some math. But you guys didn't realize we have to do math in art class. Just kidding. That's what the postcard's for, so we can cheat. We don't have to add anything. Now, while you guys are finishing that, I'm just going to kind of talk to you a little bit about the placement of the dock. The reason it looks in perspective at the moment, there's a couple of different things. One, it's as if we, the viewer, are standing dead center on the dock. Okay, so the way I have it drawn is as if we're standing right here on the ground, or on the dock just further back. Okay. If you wanted to do the dock to the side, it's not going to have the same effect. You can, that's absolutely fine, but it just won't look the same as this, okay? It's most successful, the way I'm teaching you how to draw it, if you do it dead center in the middle, all right? So that's number one. Number two, the perspective of it is that the back of the dock, this is a 4x6 postcard, okay? And this is a 16x20 canvas. Here we go. The back of the dock is the width of it's 6 inches, right? My postcard. This bottom part of the dock is literally 12 inches. It's 2 postcards wide, okay? Whenever I show this to people, they're amazed at how wide it really is at the bottom, okay? So 12 inches here, 6 inches here. Now that's a 16x20 canvas. If you guys have a smaller canvas, basically this is half the size of this. That's basically what I was trying to tell you, okay? So whatever size you want your dock out here, you're going to double it for out here. Okay. So for me, with a postcard, I also have it, and I built it so it's 6 inches high, 6 inches wide at the back, 12 inches wide at the bottom. Okay. So just made it simple so that when I'm in person, they can just use this and not have to have a ruler. All right. So I'm going to find the middle of my canvas. A little dot, and I'm going to mark. I'm going to measure 12 inches across, right? So I'm just going to put a line here and a line here. I don't know if you guys can see my chalk lines. I'll show it to you here in a second. Okay, I'll pull it up in a minute. And then up the center, I'm going to measure. Measure my 6 inch, I know 4 inch, it's supposed to be 6, Erin. Okay. There we go. Okay. So I found the middle of my canvas, whatever this width is, right? So from here to here, for me, it's 12 inches. That means I know back here it's going to be 6. So whatever this is, double it for the base down here, okay? Once you figure out the placement of all that, so it's also, like I said, 6 inches wide, 6 inches high, 12 inches down here. And then once you find those points, you're going to draw your, is that a trapezoid? I think it's a trapezoid. I'm an art teacher, not a math teacher, guys, sorry. Okay. So once you have your points, you can then draw your straight lines. And then this is the dock, the wood planks of the dock that you actually walk on. I didn't quite put it in the center of the page. Silly. Meant to. Me and my OCD and my perfectionism, I gotta fix this now because it's bugging me. All right, that's the beauty of chalk. You can literally just wipe it away like you do on a chalkboard. It's about 4 fingers. This. A little better. Okay. So get your duck shape drawn out. And now we're going to draw some of our pilings, which are those holes. Now, something to keep in mind, they are completely, perfectly vertical. Okay, so don't get in the habit of coming out on an angle with these. These should be perfectly vertical, straight up and down. And I have, well, you can do 4, you can do 5, it doesn't matter how many you do. They're all going to be about the same length as you come down. But the most important thing is for them to be straight up and down. Okay? People have a tendency to draw them kind of on an angle. Don't do that. Try not to. You can always double check it by putting your postcard or whatever you have that is a 90-degree angle right next to it, and make sure that it's going straight up and down. Okay? That's how to double check that. Okay? And they're not that very big. Just try to make them so they're all around the same height. They're going to be fairly short. Here we go. Okay, notice this one's a little too tall. Here we go. Now, first thing we have to do is start with a layer of white. Think of white like whiteout. So I'm going to grab my mommy brush, the medium mommy brush, the rounded one, the old one. Okay. And I'm going to start with white paint. And I'm going to go left to right, laying in the wood planks of the duck. And you want to make sure you give the same texture that wood planks would have. So like I said, it goes left to right. Try not to scribble it in any other way. It won't look like wood. Okay. First layer is white, then we're going to come back in with a little bit of brown. Okay. You're going to go perfectly horizontal from side to side. If your edge is not a perfect straight line, that's okay, because ducks are old. Actually, I'm going to grab some brown as I go. I think I'm going to make a light brown. Yep, there, I'm going to do that. Change my mind, sorry. So add a little bit of brown to your white. Mostly white for whiteout, and then add a little bit of brown to tone it down a little bit. It'll cover a lot better later. All right, but you're going to go literally left and right, really long planks. And we're also going to do the pilings at the same time. So these we're just going to do one line down. And some pilings are kind of rounded at the top, some are flat. Doesn't matter, but just one brush width is fine. We're going to fix the bottom of it here in a minute. It's going to kind of sort of disappear into the dock. All right. So both the pilings and then the dock is this one thickness of your brush stroke. And it's white with brown paint. I'm going to come back up here. Get my planks to cover up my piling a little bit. There we go. The streakier this is, the better it will look at the end, okay? Because it'll look more like wood, old weathered wood, like it's been out there for a long time. You definitely need a lot of white in the paint to begin with. Okay. about chalk is that while you can see it right now, I can wash it off later once all the paint dries. Okay. Just get kind of coat number 1 done to get it the white to white, block out the water behind it. All right. I just ended up having a little bit more brown paint here versus up here. But I'm going to come back right now here and give a second coat of darker brown. Give it a second to dry a little bit. There we go. You can see it all. There we go. Okay, so like I said, the next coat, even though this isn't completely dry, that's okay. Do the same thing now with just regular brown. It will mix with this white, but that's okay. My dog is jumping at me. There's a puppy. Okay, I'm gonna do the pilings first. No. Yes, she needs to go out. Okay, so I start with the pilings, making them a little darker, but if you notice, I keep it really, really streaky, and it makes it look more like the grain of the wood, okay? And now I'm gonna go in and do the duck. Go left to right, streak it in. Feel free also to add in some black streaks if you'd like. We can always add those a little later too. But I'm just doing really long brush strokes from one side to the next. And like I said, it gives the illusion of wood. It's picking up a little bit of the white as you go. That's all right, it just makes the wood look weathered. Keep loading my brush with more brown, and it's layered on pretty thick, but I'm liking the look of it. Like I said, it's giving it the really streaky. You notice I left, here we go. I left the real thick kind of blobs of brown. So as I pull them across, it makes it look like weathered wood, very imperfect. If you wanted a little bit more detail in that, you can take more of a fine brush and streak across. I'll show you if you want. Streak across the darker line every so often. Make it look like it's the space between the boards. Maybe it's a bigger gap. do that with black, you can do it with brown, you can do it with white. So that's how I did this. It's just a couple of little straight streaks across. And I added a very dark brown, black streaks. Let's get a good shot of that. Everybody's working so intently. Can't wait to see your canvases. So as you guys are kind of adding a little bit of details to the wood, we got one more little detail to do to it, highlights on it, which I'll show you in a second. But I want you to start thinking, do you want to have trees hanging over on the top of your sky? I typically have half of my painters that don't do it, and the other half do. Of those that do, sometimes they like it, sometimes they don't. So what I'm going to suggest you do is to practice it somewhere else, maybe even on the back, to see if you like it. If you do, then you can commit to it and do it here, all right? You can still have leaves on the dock if you want to keep it like fall, but some people want to keep it more summer, even think they're trying to hold on to one more last bit of summer. So if so, then you don't have to do anything to it, all right? And I can show you how to do a quick little animal or whatnot sitting back here. You guys all have printers at home. I'm going to give you a cheat sheet on how to do that. But so think about whether you want it to be summer in your picture. My dog is jumping, sorry. If you want it to be summer in your picture, did you see her? She's 10 pounds and she can hit my shoulder. Stop. If you want it to be summer, you can have green leaves, or if you don't want to have any leaves at all, maybe this is a dock up in, New Hampshire that there is no trees near you. You're more, you're on the dock and you don't see any of the trees overhanging above you. It depends what's important to you. So just think about that. If you want, like I said, some people like to do green leaves, some people like to do orange, some people like to do none, all right? So the last thing we're gonna do on the dock is do the little highlights. So the sun is over on this side. That means the top and the right-hand side of every single pylon has a little bit of white. So I literally did a line of white at the top and a line down the right side of all of them. Line across the top, down the right side. This I do with the baby brush, the little tiny detail baby brush. Grab your white paint. Whether it's flat top or not, I'm just gonna make it a flat top by doing that, okay? If you wanted to make it more of an oval at the top, you can do that too, especially of these that are closest to us, more of an oval. because you're using a smaller brush, you're going to want to put your hand down. I don't know if you notice I put my pinky down on it just to make it more sturdy. Okay. So anytime you do details, you're going to want to make sure that you're resting your hand or your pinky. If you want your dock to look like, so it's hitting some of the edge of some of the pieces of wood, like maybe the wood is warped and coming up, feel free to do a couple of streaks of white right on the dock. Usually at the end of the boards. I forgot there's a shadow too. We'll do that. I forgot. A little bit of a shadow on this side and a little bit on the dock on each of these. So depending on what color your wood is, if it's a very pale color wood, you're going to do a brown shadow. If it's a really dark brown wood, like this is over here, you're going to do a black. So again, just the baby brush down the left-hand side of your pylon here. Just a little squiggle on the dock itself. Kind of straight down. It's just the idea that it's a shadow. It don't have to be perfect. Mine certainly is not perfect or straight, as you can see. But again, from further away, it gives the illusion. All right. A little darker over here. Lava paint. There we go. And that's your dock. So I know half of you won't want to go on. History has proven that to me, and that's okay. The hardest part is to know when to stop. And if you like it the way it is, leave it, okay? So how are you going to do your trees? I will show you how to do that again. I would like you to practice somewhere else first on a separate piece of paper or on the back of the canvas before you commit to this, all right? It's a bunch of dots. We're going to channel our inner Bob Ross. Happy little trees, right? All right, you're going to grab your medium mommy brush, that medium round one. Mine's the older one that's a little more fanned out. And we're going to do it in the same order that we did the sky. So we're going to start with pale yellow dots, then brighter yellow, then orange. Then if you want to add brown, you can. Again, you can also, depends on how late in fall you're going to have your trees. If you want green, obviously you can use green. So it's summer, but I'm going to show you guys how to do this. So we're going to start with the leaves, then we're going to add in the little branches here and there, okay? Again, practice somewhere else first. See if you like it. We're going to start with that lighter yellow. So yellow with white. And you're literally dot, 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 dot. And that's all I'm doing is dots randomly. Okay. Heavier at the top, less so as it gets closer to the water. If you're going to do this, you should commit to doing it and do a lot of it, not just a little bit. Because if you do just a little, it does look like a mistake, okay? So I will show you how to do this. But again, practice somewhere else, see if you like it. You might not. Half of my painters do, half don't. And half of them just want to keep it.
Here's part 2.
At summer. Oh, part 2, that's great.
Yes, like there's extra space, like if there's any places I'm missing.
That's a good idea.
Yes,
Yeah, keep going.
I'm gonna contact Jess right now and tell her I have a surprise for her.
Perfect. All right. So we have that pale yellow. We're gonna go to the bright yellow, and you're gonna go right on top. Okay. I'm doing this fairly quickly. You guys can take your time doing this. And again, you get to decide how far into fall you want to have this. If you want to have it mostly yellows and oranges, if you want to have it with red, if you want to have it even with brown. This one has browns in it too. So it's really late into fall. And down here, of course, they're mostly orange, red, and brown. Very little yellow leaves on the ground. Okay, so there's the Now with the orange, you're going to want to mix orange on your palette first. Remember how I said you only need like 98% yellow to 2% red? You don't need a lot of red. Mix an orange down here first. And then you're going to go right back up in here and add some more dots. And you get to decide how much orange you're going to have up here. When are you going to stop? The trick to doing dots like this is to also make them look random, so it doesn't look like a stamp, the same exact kind of stamp over and over and over. Your brush will end up looking like a stamp at some point. So sort of rotate your brush around in your fingers so you get different sides of your brush, different stamps, if you will. Again, we want to make it look more random than linear, right? We want it more abstract. There's some areas that are a little more orange, some areas that are a little more red, maybe clumps, maybe this tree, this whole branch decided to be a little more red. I decided to add some red up here. Okay. I'm letting some of my yellow pop through. So it's not just one solid kind of color, it's a little bit more yellow over here. All right, so that's basically how you do your trees. But again, you got to really commit to it if you want to do it. You start with the lightest color and then you work to the darkest, okay? I don't think I'm going to add brown on this one. You can see it over there if you like the brown. Absolutely go for it. Okay. Oops, I just realized I smudged that. Hang on. Fix that. That's what I get for not letting this dry. Hang on. There we go. All right. I'm curious to see how many are going to be doing the leaves of the trees on top and who are not. It'll be fun to see when we're done. We need the dock dry before we can do the leaves on the dock. And now I have a couple of little pointers to point out before we get to that too. Okay. Last little detail for the trees up top, I wanted to show you. I call it like scratching in. I use the very detailed tiny brush and I will draw in a tree branch ever so often, every once in a while, just kind of the idea that it's a tree branch, okay? Not across all of it, not through all of it. Where are you? There you are, okay? And it's almost like a little scratch on the canvas. So a very little bit, just a little bit of brown with your detail brush. And you're gonna, again, rest your hand down. You're gonna kind of just scratch in a little bit of a branch. The trick with baby brush, the tiny brush, the detail brush, is think of it like a pencil. Hold it like a pencil, and that way you can control it much better, okay? So you're gonna also wanna have your hand down on the canvas, and you're gonna hold it like you would if you were drawing. To get a nice fine line, very tiny, thin line. Where did I go? There we go. That there. I did do one up here. It's kind of hard to see it though. And one right around here. Here we go. Is very little pressure. Just like if you're wanting to use a pencil and you want it to be really gray, really light, you're going to go very delicate, very light pressure. If you want it really heavy and black, you put a very heavy pressure. Same thing with the brush. If you think of it like a pencil, we want to get a very delicate, teeny tiny thin line. So we're just going to touch it ever so lightly across our canvas. Oh, dragging it across again. Burn it. It's just a couple of branches here and there, a couple of little sticks, if you will. I'm just gonna try and fix this again, because I messed it up again. That's the beauty of acrylics. You can change and fix anything. You know, looking at it in here, I probably will add a little bit more red leaves over here. This looks a little empty to me now that I'm kind of looking at it this way. But that's kind of the beauty of it. You live with it for a while, you come back, you play on it some more, and then you can, you know, let it sit for a little bit. There's a running joke in our house. My living room wall right behind my couch is my focal point, my wall that I constantly change artwork. My kids never know what, they wake up in the morning, they come downstairs, they never know what they're gonna see. Because I usually do my painting at night, and I like to live with it before I decide whether I'm done or not. That's why I have them up. I don't know if you saw the turtle over there or whatever, but I live with it to make sure that I like it before I stop painting on it. So you never really are done. You just abandon it after a while. But same thing with this, like tomorrow morning, if you don't like it, you want to add something else to it, go for it. I mean, there's no reason why you can't. So the leaves on the dock, these I typically do with the baby brush. the side, and I use the side of the baby brush. I'll touch it. Instead of painting this way on my canvas, I'll do this, and I'll touch the side of my brush and use the shape of the brush for the fallen leaves, okay? This one's a little too small. I have a slightly bigger one that I like to use. Still a tiny detail brush. It's just older, so it's spread out a little bit. That one's too new. You don't get as good of a impression. You're going to start with your yellow, and then you're going to go to your orange, and you're going to want to add some brown to it, okay? Now, here, I have them in a horizontal fashion. If you look, it's kind of like a chunk of them over here. If you think of it, this pile of leaves is almost like a finger. Can you see that? There we go. Okay, so it's almost like a finger here. This here is almost like two fingers coming out. And I have them in sort of a clump or a line, a horizontal sort of a line, random line, but more, rather than just having one leaf every place, these are like they've been blown, and so they're blown into a clump. Okay, so I'm going to start with my yellow, and I'm going to sort of use the side of my brush, and I'm going to do it over by the piling over there to make it look like it got blown up against the piling. I'm going to start with this orangey, yellow orangey color. It's not, you're not going to have real bright yellow leaves on the dock. Chances are. Usually they're more orange and red and brown. Just a couple over here, because most of these out here probably would have been blown into the water, but near the land there might be more kind of lying about. Get some red going in here. And I'm rotating my brush so I get different marks every time with my paint. The marks out here toward the end of the dock are a little smaller. The marks toward the bottom of the dock that we're standing on are a little bit bigger. And that helps to make it look more realistic in 3D. And then we're going to get some brown in here. Or a reddish brown. You can take red and mix it with brown to make it a pretty dark red. I'm going to guess that our friend over in Arizona is going to do fall to remind her of New England. Let's see if I can get over to her. What's her name? Laren, was it? Are you doing fall?
I'm not. I'm doing a New England, or not a New England, I'm doing an Arizona painting.
Oh, well, I can't wait to see it.
We don't have trees out here, so there are no trees.
Oh, you stopped. You were one of my painters that didn't do the trees. All right.
Correct.
Well, you know, it's 50-50. I didn't know if you missed New England fall weather or not.
Oh, I do. That would be another painting, not this one.
Gotcha. What's that? It's all right. I'm going to show you a trick that you guys can do fairly easily from home. So you guys keep working on that real quick for a minute. I'm gonna jump over here to my computer and print out something to show you guys. I forgot to do it ahead of time, sorry. But I want to show you guys a quick little trick to drawing if you wanted to do a silhouette of a dog or even some people if you wanted to put something at the end of the dog, okay? So just give me a second, I'll pull this up here. Do I have it? I just realized I'm using a different computer. Oh, good. Yay. File print. All right, so what you would do if you're not confident on your drawing skills, this is a little trick, is go find a silhouette of what it is you want to add to the bottom of the dog, okay? Whether it's a German Shepherd, or maybe it's a poodle, or maybe it's two kids, or maybe it's a, you know, a man and a woman, whatever, okay? And you're gonna measure your paper, or your how big do you want it? So I guess a person would be about that big in relation to the dog. A dog, I'm gonna do, I'll show you here. Just cut this apart because I printed it for an in-person class to give to everybody. So we don't need a million of them, I just need one. All right, so I found a silhouette of a German Shepherd. Okay, I did this one for Fidelco Guide Dog Association. We did a fundraiser. So they have German Shepherds, so I did a German Shepherd with them, okay? So what you're gonna do is find your image, make sure it's the right size, right? Proportion, this is about the right proportion. You're gonna print it out on a piece of paper. On the back of the paper, you're gonna put chalk, or you can do pencil. You can put graphite on the back of it. I'm just gonna do chalk for right now, it's easier, okay? Heavy duty coat of either chalk or, like I said, pencil. And you're gonna grab a writing implement. And now you're gonna trace this onto, I'm gonna put it over here. Trace this onto your dock. And then you get to paint inside of it. Because what that's gonna do, once you trace this onto your painting, it's gonna leave an impression of the chalk or the pencil, whatever it is you put on the back. This is a chalk transfer, right? You can do cats out here, you can do whatever you want out here. Whatever is important to you, okay? So I traced, I don't know if you can see, it's kind of hard to see, but that's, gave me a line. Madison, those look beautiful, honey. Good job. So I'm going to trace the line of the dog, and now all I have to do is take my baby brush and very carefully paint it in with black. And that's how you would get a little silhouette of whatever it is you want to put on your dog. Anybody else have any questions? You guys are so intently working.
To learn more, go to helpingafamily.com. That's helpingafamily.com.
Now I'm ready.
All right. So how about I do a thumbs up to see if we can do a group shot if you're ready. All right, so Megan, you're ready, good job. Looks like it, all right.
And Erin, are you set up already to do it on your end, or do you want me? I can do it on my
We
end.
can do both. Why don't we do both to make sure we get everybody?
Sounds very good. Okay.
All right. Hang on. So let me close the chat window. Put this on gallery view. All right. Thank you so much. Oh, that's Alira. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. I just wanted to send it before I forgot.
Good, you're all good. All right. So what we're going to have you guys do, whether you're finished or not, if you would be so kind to turn your camera on. You don't have to be in the picture if you don't want to. You can do this, okay? You can do
Those
that.
all look so awesome, guys.
Okay. Just to see, because it looks really cool in person when you see all of them together. We won't see all the little details, don't worry. All right, let me just get my finger on the right button. Okay, and then I'm gonna get my head out of the way, so hang on, Alira.
You're good, take your time.
All right, so we're waiting for a couple of more. So Carrie, Carolyn, Tiffany, Claudia, ADA Santana. Cameras are not on. That's okay if you don't want to, but it looks really cool if you do. All right. Look at this, guys. Oh my God, it's awesome.
So beautiful.
Yeah. All right. All right. So there you go. All right. I'm going to get out of the picture, hopefully. All right. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Did you get it, Alira?
I think so.
Okay. I think so too. All right. Let me just see. I gotta paste it over onto a different document just to double check.
Yeah, if you can send me yours, that would be awesome.
Okay, yeah, no, not a problem. Paste.
Thank you.
Yep, it looks like we got everybody's, almost everybody. A couple people didn't want to go with us, but that's okay. No big deal. Well, you guys, I want to say thank you for joining us again. I'm so excited to be here with you. If you have any questions, send them over to Alira. She'll get them to me. If you add other little things to it, I would love to see it. And so back to you, Alira.
Oh, so pretty. Wow.
Good
Yeah,
job.
you all did wonderful. Nice job, Carrie.
I know, that looks awesome.
Well, thank you all so much for joining us tonight. I think we have people from all over the place, so it's so exciting to have everyone together. I hope you had fun tonight. As Erin mentioned and I put up in the chat, I will be sending a follow-up email as soon as the video has been uploaded, so you'll be able to follow along again. I'll include Erin's information in that as well. But does anybody have any questions before we sign off? Oh, and you know what? I actually almost forgot. I would love to see the photos or the paintings you created. We can share them through our social media as a collage. So if you are willing to either share it through your own social media as a public post, tagging WNE alumni or hashtag WNE alumni month, we'll gather all those photos together and then do one nice big collage with everyone's beautiful creations. You can also submit them to us via email, but I'll include that all in the information I send out via email. Does anybody have any questions now? Fabulous. Well, everyone stay well, stay healthy.
Oh, you want to see the puppy? Okay.
Oh, see the puppy.
Oh, your puppy is very cute too, by the way. Where'd she go? Come here. Come here. Come here. You were making so much noise. They want to see you. There you go.
Oh, my goodness.
She's not quite 2, so she's not a major puppy, but she's, yeah.
So cute.
She'll be 2 in November. I call her the painted puppy because she always gets into my paints and has paint all over her. She chews my brushes. Yeah, she's crazy. And thank you. Yes, she's a cutie. Valerie, what is yours? Is yours a poodle too? Oh my God, how cute. Look, Raina, look.
Oh my
She's
goodness.
a Yorkie Bichon Havanese. I put her at the end of my dock.
Oh, I can't wait to see it. Oh, look at all the puppies. They're going to say hi. Oh, Madison, how cute.
Yeah, so when I was I started collecting the Squeezamals a year ago, and for those who were there during my time, they all know about my iconic collection is now up to 182.
Wow, that's cool. Bree, what kind of dog is that?
It's a miniature husky. It's called an Alaskan Klee Kai.
I was gonna say, it looks like a husky, but a little tinier. Yeah.
I have 2 of them.
Oh my God, that's awesome. And you, Carrie, you have a poodle or a doodle anyway somewhere, right?
He is a poodle.
Oh, look, we got lots of your friends online.
All kinds
All
of
right.
puppers.
Enjoyed painting with you. Hopefully we'll do this again soon. And send us your pictures. I can't wait to see your finished products. It looks better when you see the individual picture rather than a group shot. But Laren has one too. Look, all you four-legged crazies. Yes.
All right, everyone.
All right.
Well, have a wonderful evening. Thank you so much, Erin.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.